found out that my boss is actually a Christian. So what should come to mind when you hear somebody say something like that? Last week we talked about this word because this never comes to mind, fearless. And yet we went back to our roots and we looked at some text around Jesus, who's, at the epicenter of our faith. Christian, Christ. It's all about Jesus. And we found out that one of the number one things about Jesus was he was absolutely fearless. And we said last week that, uncertainty is unavoidable. Uncertainty is for certain. Uncertainty is unavoidable. But fearful is clearly optional because our Savior and our boss and our master and the one who kicked this whole thing off was clearly absolutely fearless. He just wasn't afraid of anything. In first century Christians, part of it was just their fearlessness. They didn't fear death. They didn't fear illness. They didn't fear loss. In fact, it should be said of us that because we don't fear loss, we're selfless. Because when you don't fear losing something, you become selfless. When you don't fear losing something, you become generous. When you don't fear losing something, you become compassionate. And so it should be said of us that we are absolutely fearless, and in our fearlessness, we are extraordinarily generous because we don't fear loss. Christian is a Jesus follower, which means if we're Christians, we should look like Jesus, who looked nothing like this. Remember this? Nothing like this. In fact, if you weren't here last week, you really need to watch or listen to last week's message because we discovered an extraordinary detail that Jesus was not fragile. And Christianity is not fragile. And his followers should not be fragile either. Which leads me to this question. What in the world is wrong with us? Or here's a better question. What went wrong with us? Because in the first century, when Christianity first began, Christians were irresistible. They were irresistible. The only reason Christianity survived the first century, the only reason it survived persecution, the only reason it survived the persecution of Rome and the temple was there was something so uniquely attractive about Christians because Christians were like Christ. And Jesus, this is amazing, Jesus liked people who were nothing like him. And people liked Jesus who were nothing like, they were nothing like. That people were attracted to Jesus even though they were not like Jesus, and Jesus was attracted to people he had almost nothing in common with. And in the first century, there was something about the community of Christians that was almost irresistible, and they were fearless even though there was so much to fear.